So the first lesson that we're going to work on today is the basically solving word problems, okay, when it comes to quadratics. So remember that we have talked about 3 different forms of quadratics, and the 3 different forms are, what are the 3 different forms of quadratics? The factors, right? So we're gonna have to kind of decide which form do you want to use depending on what the question is asking us. Okay? So let's read the question. So the profit of a chocolate bar can be modeled by the equation P equals negative 0.3 n minus 7 squared plus 10.8, where P is the profit in thousands of dollars and n is the number of chocolates sold in thousands. So it's very important that when you're reading the question, you're understanding what the question is saying, right? So it gave you the profit formula, and it tells you that P is what? What does the letter P represent? Profit. And how much? In thousands. So if your answer was 5 for profit, what does it actually mean? 5,000, right? So it's like understanding what the question is actually saying. And then it says that n is the number of chocolates, also in thousands. So if your n was 10, that means it's 10,000. Okay? So understanding what the letter means is very, very important. So if you're going to look at your equation, P basically replacing the 1 and n is replacing the x, right? Just so you can visualize it, how it's going to be on your graph. Does it make sense? All right. Now, the question is, what is the coordinates of the vertex, and explain what it represents. So, first I'm going to ask you that question. What form is it in? It's in vertex form. And how did you know that?
Because we have the vertex, we can see it.
Because it's the same format as y equals ax minus
h squared plus b.
Right? It's exactly the same format.
Yeah.
Right? Good. Now, what is your vertex? 7
and 10.8.
That's right. So the vertex is 7 and 10.8. Okay? Where did we get the vertex from? From our equation, right? 7 and 10.8. Now, what does that mean when it comes, or what does it represent when it comes to this scenario? What does the 7 represent, and what does the 10.8 represent?
The 7 is the x value of the vertex, and the 10.8 is the multiple.
That's right. And what does it mean in this scenario? Remember, we're talking about the vertex. That means it's either your
The number of chocolates, 7 is the number of chocolates, and the profits that they
good. So you have to sell 7 what? 7 chocolates?
7,000 chocolates.
7,000 chocolates to make a profit of.
10,008.
And what does that profit represent? Is it your minimum profit, your zero profit, your maximum profit, your anything profit? Like what? It does represent the maximum profit because it's the vertex. Okay? So if you sell 7,000 chocolate bars, right, they're going to make a profit, a maximum profit of 10,800. So this is the maximum profit they're going to make, and they're going to make it when they sell the 7,000 chocolate bars. Okay? Anything else is going to be the profit for them, right? So anything after that, so the profit is going to be lower, right, than the 10,800. So the 10,800 is the maximum profit they're going to make. Okay? So this is called application questions, right? So things that we have learned. So we've learned how to be able to identify what the vertex is, but now we're going to use the knowledge that we have acquired earlier, right, to apply it into questions like this. Now it says, what is the y-intercept? Or in this case, it's the p-intercept because p represents your y, right? Remember that we replaced y with a p. And explain what it represents. So when I'm asking you for the y-intercept, what do you do?
The y-intercept is 10.8.
No, because that's your maximum profit. That's not your y-intercept. And how do you solve it? What do you do? What do you have to do?
Zero, like the value of x.
So 0 for the value of x, right? Yeah. Remember? And it's right here. Right? It says to find the y-intercept, plug 0 for x. There's another way. Which form gives you the y-intercept? The standard form, right? So you can change the vertex form into standard form, right? And then you can find your y-intercept that way, right? So there's two ways that you can do it. Learn at least one of them. Because you're gonna get a question like this, right? Where it's asking you to find the y-intercept. So I'm gonna show you both ways, just so, because you need to know how to change from vertex form to standard form. This is for sure. You're gonna have to show me how to go from standard form to vertex. Sorry, from vertex to standard. Okay. So let's do that first. So let's put it in standard form. So to put it in standard form, what's the first step that I want to do? So write n minus 7, so clone it, write it twice. Okay? So that's the first step. What do I do after that? What do I call this? Forward. Distribute forward. Yeah? Yeah, that should be 0.3, not 0.7. So we have to forward. So n squared minus 7n minus 7n plus 49. Okay? Then I can collect like terms, or I can multiply the negative 0.3 in and then collect like terms at once. Okay? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to multiply by negative 0.3. I need you guys to help me by multiplying 7 by 0.3 and 49 by 0.3.
It's 2.1.
What's 49 times 0.3?
1 times 2.3, it will be 14.7.
So if you guys, what I did here is I distributed, so I multiplied that negative 0.3 in, right? Remember, it's a negative 0.3, so it's going to change all my signs. So this is going to be negative 0.3 n squared. Negative and negative makes positive. Negative and negative makes positive, and negative and positive makes negative. So it's very important that you are paying attention to the signs as well. Okay? Now I can collect like terms. Okay, my like terms, what are my like terms?
It is 2.1 plus 2.9.
Yeah, so that's 4.2n. That's negative, yeah. Which one? This one? It's a negative. Yeah, negative times positive is negative, right? I don't know if you guys can see this. Better? So, what can you tell me about the y-intercept?
It's 3.9.
It is 3.9, it's a negative 3.9, right?
Yeah.
So, that's 3,900, right? So, if it's negative 3,900, what's their profit? Are they making a profit or are they losing money? Right? This is your y-intercept,
Yes.
right?
I think they are losing.
So, that means they're losing $3,900 if they sell 0 chocolate bars, which makes sense because they're producing it, right? But they're selling nothing, so their cost is basically 3,900, right? Because they're not selling, they're not making any profits, right? The other way to find the y-intercept is to set y equals 0 as we talked earlier, right? Another way here. Which is probably an easier way, but at the same time, you would need this to be able to answer, you need the standard form to be able to answer the next one. So, you should know how to do both. Okay. So, the next question is asking you, what are the zeros and explain what they represent. Yep.
Because when you change that like in standard form, that's 0.39 squared plus 4.29 3.9. How do you know that y-intercept is 3.9?
Because in standard form, right?
Yeah.
We know that the y-intercept is c.
Oh.
All right. How can I find the zeros? Put it in what form? Factored form, that's right. So factored form is going to give me my zeros, right? And then how do I go to factored form? What do I have to do?
You have to
We have to go from
Standard to a factor.
standard to a factor. Okay? So in order to put it in factored form, I have to go from the standard to the factor. Okay, I can't go from, and that's why this is useful, right? You have to find. Okay, so to put it in standard form, what's the first thing I have to ask myself?
Greatest common
Do I have a greatest common factor? In your situation, guys, if I'm asking you to factor, you're in the situation of MDF3C, most likely it's gonna be whatever is in front of the n squared term. Okay? So let's try this. Usually it's the lowest number, right? And in this case it's 0.3. So can I divide 4.2 by 0.3? Can you check that for me? And if you do 4.2 divided by 0.3, what do you get? It can't be 0.0. Do 4.2 divided by 0.3, not the other way around. Uh-oh. Yep. So, and then do 3.9 divided by 0.3.
3.9
Divided by 0.3. 13. Good. So if I divide each term, if I divide this by 0.3, if I divide this by 0.3, I'm getting full numbers, right? I'm getting, not full numbers, I'm getting whole numbers, right? So that means 0.3 is a factor. Okay? So if I take out, I'm gonna have to take out negative 0.3 because I don't want my first term to be negative. I want it to be positive. So you see that I have factored negative 0.3 out from every single term. Are you guys okay with this?
Yes.
Okay, so, and then you said that this is gonna be what? Negative 0.3 over negative 0.3.
It will be positive.
Positive what?
Positive n squared.
Yes, positive 1 n squared, right? So it's gonna be n squared. Good. Well, we said 4.3 divided by 0.3, that's gonna be 14. Is it gonna be positive or negative? Because positive divided by negative is negative. And then 3.9 over 0.3, positive 13, right? Negative and negative makes it positive. Are we okay with this so far?
Yes.
Okay, now, we're gonna leave that negative 0.3 out there, but then we're gonna try to factor whatever's inside the bracket. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to what and add to what? Multiply to 13, add to negative 1. Okay, so B is negative and C is positive. So that means both my terms are going to be negative. So what multiplies to 13? 1 and 13, right? That's your only option. You don't have any other options. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 13 and add to negative 14. And my only options are negative 13 and negative 1, right? Which they do add to negative 14. So my factor is going to be y equal p equals to n minus 1 n minus 13. So what are my zeros? 1 and 13. So that means if I sell 1,000 chocolate bars, I'm gonna get how much profit? What's my profit? No? Remember, these are my zeros. So if I sell 1,000 chocolate bars, what's my profit? 0. Yeah, they're my zeros. Right? And if I sell 30,000 chocolate bars, what's my profit? 0 as well. Right? So look at this. I'll come back to answering this question. But basically, this is what you have. So, I think 3 point. This is what it looks like. So, if you sell 0 chocolate bar, you're gonna be losing money, and you're gonna be losing $3,900, right? The moment that you sell 1,000 chocolate bars, you're gonna be making 0. So you're gonna break even. We call it break even, right? So whatever it costs you, right, and whatever you make, they're gonna cancel each other, and then you're gonna make 0 money. It's like you haven't done anything, right? If you sell 7,000, we said this is our vertex, right? So if I sell 7,000, I'm gonna make a maximum profit of $10,800. And then if I go back and sell at 13,000, I'm gonna make 0 profit. Okay? Do you guys understand that?
Like, it doesn't make sense, like, when you sell 7,000, you make maximum profit. When you sell 13,000, you don't make any profit.
Yeah, because we get to a point that you're gonna make the maximum profit, and then after that, your cost is gonna be more, or you're gonna have to make more people work, or you have to invest in a new machine to make the chocolate.
There's an increase in the price, something like that.
There's an increase in your cost, right? Either because if you make 7,000, let's say chocolate bar, and then you sell them for that amount of money, right? You only need 1 machine. So you're maximizing the machine, right? But if you're selling like 13,000, maybe you need 2 machines now to produce that 13,000, so you're losing. So this is kind of why that is, okay? So you probably need more workers. You probably need, so we're talking about cost and profit, okay? So basically right here, I'm gonna have to say that the zeros are 1,000 and 13,000 chocolate bars. And then we're gonna say that the company will learn that word, break even. You have to know what it means. So break even means make 0 money, right? That means whatever it costs you, it's gonna be exactly the same thing as how much money you're gonna make. It's like, you went to Costco, you bought a box of chocolates for $10, and you came and you sold it for $10, right? You didn't make any money, you didn't lose any money, you broke even, right? Are we okay with this?
Can you just move that to my
Is that a little bit more? Better? Okay, just give me a second.